Okay, so you're into sustainability, right? And maybe looking for a career that's not just, stuck behind a desk all day. Well, get this. Today we're diving deep into becoming an energy assessor, and we're using all this cool info from RoleCatcher to figure out what that even means.
Yeah, it's really interesting how important this whole thing is becoming right now. I mean, we're all trying to be more energy efficient, but these are the people who can actually make it happen. And it's not
Mm-hmm.
just for houses either, it's for whole buildings and systems.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
like
whole
they're like eco detectives. By the way, RoleCatcher talks about what energy assessors really do all day.
Yeah.
It's not just about being like, yeah, this place is drafty.
No, they've got to know their stuff. There's this really good example in RoleCatcher. Like, say you're looking at an old historic building. It's not just about modern insulation. You've got to think about how they built it back then, maybe even with materials they don't use anymore. It's like finding that balance between keeping history alive and making things as energy efficient as possible.
Wow, that takes some serious skills. It seems like solving problems is a big part of this gig. RoleCatcher mentions these energy performance certificates or EPCs. What are those all about?
Think of them like, those nutrition labels on food, but for buildings? They tell you how good a property is at saving energy. And just like you might check for sugar content, those EPCs are becoming super important for anyone who wants to buy, rent, or even sell a place.
Really? So it's not just a suggestion then. In some cases, it's actually the law.
Yeah, in a lot of places, RoleCatcher says EPCs are mandatory for real estate. It makes things more transparent for everyone and kind of forces the market to improve standards overall.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Let's talk about the day-to-day stuff, though. Is it all spreadsheets and site visits, or is there more to it?
If you like variety, you're in luck. RoleCatcher says this career can be really dynamic. One day you could be on a construction site talking to architects about energy efficient designs, and then the next you're analyzing data and messing around with fancy software simulations.
So you have to be comfortable both out in the field and working on a computer. What about moving up in this field? Is there a career ladder for energy assessors?
For sure. RoleCatcher lays it all out. You might start as a general assessor, getting a feel for different types of buildings, but then you can specialize. You could be the go-to person for those historic renovations we talked about or focus on those huge commercial projects. So many options.
It's pretty cool. Imagine becoming like this sought-after expert in making skyscrapers energy efficient or something.
Exactly. RoleCatcher points out how that expertise can really boost your career. You could become a manager leading teams of assessors, or even start your own thing as an independent consultant.
All right, so the career path sounds pretty sweet. But we've got to talk about this whole beat the automated recruiter thing that RoleCatcher keeps bringing up. Honestly, it sounds kind of scary.
Well, it's definitely a sign of the times, right? Remember how we talked about all the software and spreadsheets? Well, now there's AI out there that's literally designed to scan through job applications. We're talking algorithms that are picking out keywords from your resume before a human even lays eyes on it.
Wait, so it's like a robot deciding your future before you even get a chance. That's kind of intimidating.
It can be, yeah. But that's where RoleCatcher comes in. They don't just point out the problem, they actually give you a game plan.
Okay, I'm listening.
Yeah.
What kind of game plan are we talking about here? Do I need to learn how to code my resume or something?
Not that intense, but you do kind of have to think like a programmer. At least a little bit. RoleCatcher breaks it down into a few main things. First, you got to optimize those keywords. Remember all those skills and qualifications we talked about. You have to actually use the exact same words they use in the job description.
So it's not enough to just have the experience. You have to explain it in a way the robot understands. Like a secret handshake, but for robots.
Yeah, exactly. And here's another tip. Use numbers to back up what you're saying. So instead of, I'm great at improving energy efficiency, you'd say, I helped clients reduce their energy use by 15%, which saved them thousands of dollars every year.
Numbers make more sense to robots, I guess.
It's all about making your application stand out. And that's where some of RoleCatcher's tools can really help. They have this cool feature called RoleCatcher. Capture. It lets you grab job postings from all over the place, and then it tells you how well your resume matches up with what they're looking for.
So you're basically getting feedback before you even apply, seeing how your resume stacks up against the robot's preferences.
Exactly. Knowledge is power, right?
Yeah.
And if you want to get really serious, they have this thing called RoleCatcher Copilot AI. It's a subscription you can get.
Copilot AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds pretty serious. What is that exactly?
It's like having a personal AI career coach, basically. It gives you all these personalized tips for your application. It helps you tweak your resume and cover letter for each job. And it even tells you about the company culture and what they're looking for in an employee.
Wow, it's like having a cheat code for your job search. Okay, but let's be real. Even if you get past the robots, you still have to do an interview. And honestly, the thought of 120,000 practice interview questions kind of stresses me out.
I hear you. But RoleCatcher's got you covered. They've organized all those questions by industry job title, even specific skills, so you can just focus on the ones that make sense for an energy assessor.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better. But
Yeah.
still, where do you even start with that many questions?
All right, so this is the really cool part. RoleCatcher has this AI thing where you can actually record yourself answering practice questions, and then it gives you feedback on how you did. Like you're what you said, the whole 9 yards?
Hold on. So it's like having a robot interview coach right there in your pocket. That's amazing. Speaking of interviews, though, what are some of the things that energy assessors really need to nail in those conversations to actually get the job?
Good question. RoleCatcher has some good pointers on that. First of all, you got to be able to communicate clearly. And I don't just mean talking to other technical people. You're going to be explaining some pretty complex stuff to regular homeowners, landlords, maybe even construction workers. So being able to break things down in a way that anyone can understand is huge.
So it's kind of like you're a bridge between the technical world and the real world.
Exactly. And of course, you got to have those technical skills too.
Yeah.
You need to actually know about building, science, energy systems, all of that.
Right, because you can't just fake your way through an energy audit if you don't even know what a heat pump is. But it's not just about the technical stuff, right?
You got it.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher says that soft skills are important too. Things like problem solving, thinking critically, and even a little bit of salesmanship.
Salesmanship. Really? I wouldn't have thought of that one.
Think about it. As an energy assessor, you're often the one recommending stuff to people. Sometimes you're even giving them multiple options with different costs and benefits. You have to explain it all clearly, answer their questions, and help them figure out the best solution for them. It's all about building trust and showing them you really want to help them reach their energy goals.
So it's kind of like you're a consultant just as much as you are a technical expert.
Exactly. It's a multifaceted job, which makes it both challenging and super rewarding.
Right. So we talked about the skills of the job market, even how to deal with those robot recruiters. But I'm curious, with all the crazy advancements of building technology, how does RoleCatcher see the role of the energy assessor changing in the future?
That's a great question, and I'm sure a lot of people in the field are wondering the same thing. Honestly, RoleCatcher doesn't have all the answers, but they do point out some really interesting trends. Like, for example, we're seeing more and more smart buildings popping up. Buildings with sensors, automated systems, they can even learn and adapt to how people are using energy.
That's wild. So does that mean energy assessors will be like data analysts then, looking
Yeah.
at all that information from those smart buildings to make things even more efficient?
It's definitely possible. RoleCatcher seems to think that being able to handle those huge amounts of data could be a big deal for energy assessors in the future. Like, imagine knowing exactly where and when a building is wasting the most energy. You could even tell which appliance or system is the culprit.
No more messing around with thermal cameras and hoping for the best.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Right. RoleCatcher even talks about using AI and machine learning to fine-tune building performance in real time.
Right.
We're talking about systems that can automatically adjust things like heating and cooling, depending on who's in the building, what the weather's like, even how much electricity costs at that moment.
Okay, now that sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. Does that mean robots are going to steal all the energy assessor jobs?
That's the big question, isn't it? And I don't think RoleCatcher has a magic crystal ball or anything. But they do make a good point. Technology will probably change how assessors work, but it won't completely replace them. Think about it. Someone still has to set up all those smart systems, make sure the data's right, and make sure everything's running smoothly. Plus, you can't forget about the human side of things. Building owners still want someone they can actually talk to, someone who can explain those complicated systems and help them make smart decisions about their energy use.
That's good to hear. So it's not about humans fighting with machines. It's more like humans and machines teaming up to create a greener future.
Exactly. And that's something to get excited about.
I'm starting to see why this whole energy assessor thing is such a cool career path.
Yeah.
It's challenging, things are always changing, and you can actually make a difference in the world.
I totally agree. And for anyone listening who's thinking about giving it a shot, RoleCatcher seems like an awesome place to start. Whether you're just dipping your toes in the water or you're already working towards becoming certified, they've got the tools and info you need to make it in this field.
Well said. It sounds like they've got you covered from writing a killer resume to rocking those interviews.
Yeah.
They're like the ultimate career sidekick for anyone who wants to be an energy assessor.
For sure. And hey, who knows? Maybe someday we'll have one of our listeners on the show telling us all about their experience as an energy assessor. That would be awesome.
I'd love to hear that episode.
Hey.
But until then, keep those brains buzzing and never stop asking questions. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.